Hi, Bob.
Hi, Tommy.
I forgot to mention that Jeremy Lee is a very big fan of yours, since she's also a voice actor.
Jeremy Lee, yes, she was at my same agency, the Campbell Agency in Dallas. She's pretty awesome. To see somebody really young starting out and then to see them accomplish so much is really exciting. So she's pretty awesome.
Yes, yeah, she very is. So, she did hit hope there's a Netflix version of Barney. So what if there is a Netflix version of Barney?
I don't know that it would be on Netflix. I don't, Mattel has kind of teased the possibility of having some episodes. We don't know what they're doing. We don't know what Daniel Kaluuya might be doing with the movie. So we're all just kind of waiting for Mattel to do something to see what they want to do. But it might be on Netflix. It might be someplace else. I don't think it's going to be on PBS if they do it. I think it would probably be on one of the commercial streaming networks. So that's about all we know.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're welcome.
I'm a huge fan of yours. So how long you did Barney and Friends for?
We started out with Barney. Before Barney and Friends, we started out in 1987, I believe. And so I was the voice of Barney for the first almost 12 years. It was a long time.
Yeah, because I was a huge fan of yours.
Thank you.
And you know my sister Sabina, right?
Yes, indeed.
And anyways, how long you did Pasquale and Jasper?
Pasquale and Jasper I did for about 10 years. And that was a lot of fun. I was doing both at the same time. So I was kind of busy back then. Yeah.
Hi, Bob.
Hey.
I wanted to know, how did you get casted as Barney, and what was the process at first?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Brittany, and we had the usual thing is for just voiceover is you just usually go into a studio or send them in a tape or something like that. Because this was going to be a video series, they brought in everybody into what was a casting company and training company. And it was KD Studios, as I recall, in Dallas. And so they just brought in all these people. It was like one of those old TV shows or movies where you see all kinds of different performers in the same room doing different stuff. And there was just all these people. It was great. It was very cool. But they were going to cast for a full body puppet with the voice, same person doing both, which is the normal way it's done. Like Big Bird, like Carol Spinney doing Big Bird. He's inside the costume and then he's got a microphone in there and he talks while he's doing the puppetry. But they were just starting out in this business and they didn't really quite know how to do things. So they started building the costume before they cast, which is backwards. You're supposed to cast first and build the costume around the person. So the costume, I was too tall for it. So I couldn't fit into the costume. So they had me just do the voice, and then they used someone who was shorter for the costume. That was David Voss, who was Barney's first body. So that's how we did that.
Yeah, this is a two-part question though. But what was I gonna say? Oh, I noticed in the earlier Barney versus the later Barneys, that Barney was a different color, purple. Why is that?
We started out with the purple. They wanted him to be like a purple, like a grape, Concord grape purple. But it didn't photograph very well. It was really dark, and the way they had to light it to get it to work, it just didn't come off as being very friendly. And also against these blue backgrounds that you use, like you use green screen and they use blue screen or something to put something behind you. When they did like a day at the beach, Barney would just kind of disappear into the edges of him. Yeah. So we ended up making him a lot lighter and a little more toward the red. Yeah.
Oh.
Mr. Magenta, like the shirt.
Yeah, so it looked more like, in the earlier ones, it looked more like a darker purple.
Yeah.
And towards the later ones, it was more like almost close to.
It's this magenta. He changed a couple of times, but they even had their own fabric custom woven at a mill because they wanted to figure out what was the best kind of combination of stretchiness and getting air through it for the performer, and keeping its shape and holding its color. So the fabric that they ended up with was so great that the company, the weaving mill, licensed the formula for the fabric from the company. So they made some money off of it themselves. This is really interesting.
So
Great
Barney
process.
has his own actual color hue
His,
for the
well, he has his own specific colors. I don't know. I don't remember like the PMS numbers or anything, Pantone numbers, but has his own specific fabric.
Oh.
Yeah. So thanks.
Okay.
No, this lady over here wanted me to show you this.
I saw this earlier. Yes, this is an awesome piece of history, and this is an original show tape from Chuck E. Cheese. This is from 1987, back when we did reel-to-reel, quarter-inch, and it's this is the Home for the Holidays show tape, serial number 20, which means it was probably store number 20 that it went to. But I'm not sure do you know if this has audio plus programming on it, or is it just? Yeah, so this has both the sound on it, and it also has a track that has little bleeps and bloops that make the animatronics move. So they had special equipment that would listen to the tape. There's the audio we can hear from one side, and then on another track it's going, yes, this is.
From a fan online that runs a showbiz at pizza.com. It's a fan site for Chuck E. Cheese. And,
Awesome.
Showbiz Pizza.
Yeah, it's amazing. There's some other there are some original show tapes that corporate has released and allowed people to put online. So look around on YouTube and you can find other shows from us. Thanks for bringing that. I appreciate it.
People online who have their own robots who
Yeah.
Wow, that's oh
Yeah, there's
so much for talking about that.
sure. Thank you. Yeah, there's several people who have their own animatronics. There's a couple of people who have like a Pasquale and a Jasper, and they've kind of refurbished them. There's a guy in Alabama, I believe. He's got a place called Smitty's Super Service. Have you heard of that? And he has several showrooms. He's got all the different eras of Chuck E. Cheese. He's got this era, and then this era, and this era. And the costumes are different. The animatronics are different. And he's put all this money into it, and he's refurbished all the costumes and the robotics and everything. And it's amazing. I still have to make a pilgrimage there and see it because it's pretty cool. He's got some Smitty's Super Service. I highly recommend it.
Thank you for giving them their voices.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. I appreciate it. It was fun.
Hello again.
Hey.
And so I've been wondering. Okay, you did answer one about the outtake earlier at the booth. So what is your funniest moment and during your outtakes?
Oh, it's funny. It's so weird. The funniest moment that is not actually an outtake was one time we were shooting the show and we broke for lunch, and we kind of hit the restroom and stuff, and then we go back or whatever. But I hit the restroom, and then all of a sudden I hear somebody like knocking on the restroom door. Bob, where are you? It's like, oh, I'm here. I just went to the restroom. I come out and there's nobody out there. They've all gone inside. And I walk in on the set and they're going, where were you? What had happened was I'm so reliable. I'm usually just like where I'm supposed to be. They started rolling tape and the kids started the scene and Barney's like walking out and there's no voice. I'm not in my booth and it's just silence. They're going, where's Bob? They had to come and look for me. It's like, but I've just been in here for a minute. So yeah, that never happened on tape. So I mean, I'm sure it's on tape someplace, but yeah, I mean, we have some great outtakes of Barney like riding a bicycle and falling off and stuff like that. There's one that's you can find on YouTube where Barney steals somebody's purse.
Get him!
Yeah, it's pretty funny. It's like there's all kinds of bloopers that somebody got a hold of from corporate, from production. I don't know how he got them, but some of them are from our rap party tapes, which all the like the blooper reels that we'd show at the end of the season and stuff. So yeah, pretty funny.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Bob.
Hi.
Well, first, I just want to say how surreal it is, because I grew up watching Barney, and then, I'm here with my daughter, and she, has seen, the older episodes of Barney, so it's really nice to kind of share this moment
Thank
together.
you.
So thank you for being here.
Thanks for being here. It's so awesome to meet people who, it's like when we were doing the show, we couldn't talk to the kids about it then, the fans about it then, because you'd spoil it, So it's so great to be able to talk to you about it now.
So
I appreciate you being
I
here.
wanted to ask, what was the inspiration for Barney's voice? How did you come about that?
Well, Barney's voice was like any other character. They present you with a description of what the character's like, his personality and maybe any quirks they have or something. Sometimes they specifically think high or low. Sometimes they specifically think of other things. But they said that he's kind of friendly and he's jolly and he's he can be silly but he's still a big dinosaur. And so what we did was I came up with this voice that was very close to what we did in the PBS series. But before we actually started to do the home videos, they said, why don't we bring it down in your range so that it's lower, because he's a big dinosaur. We kind of want him to feel more like a T-Rex. So we did that a little bit, but we found out that, it was a little difficult for me because it was way down here in my range, and so I had to kind of really force it. So to be able to maintain a character, you want something that's relaxed and it's not hard to do. Plus, it was a little bit threatening to some kids because it was deeper, and a higher voice that has a lot of modulation in it, a lot of pitch range and stuff. That's more friendly to a child, especially. So we eventually brought it up. I kept saying, well, I think we should probably bring it up. They eventually said, yeah, I think you're right. So we changed his voice through, like, there was a big change between the tapes and the first season of PBS, and then we tweaked it just a little bit more over the first season and then into the second season. So, yeah. But it's kind of the usual thing. They describe to you what they want, and sometimes they'll give you pictures of the character that you're creating, and if they have any specific goals or anything. So that's how it's usually done.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello again.
Hello again.
I heard. Okay, another two-parter. Do you still talk to any of the Barney kids? And if so, would they ever think about having a reunion show or something?
Oh.
Or spin-off or something? How they have. I don't know. I just thought of that. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of people ask about the kids, and some people ask about a reunion show. So that's kind of a thing that the people have wanted to see. I would love to do a reunion show. The thing about when a new production company takes over, a new owner takes over some show or something, a lot of times they kind of like to start from scratch, and they kind of don't want to even acknowledge what happened before. They just want to do their own thing. So sometimes the reunion shows don't happen because the new production company wants everybody just to look at their characters and think of how they did the show. Mm-hmm. So that kind of may not happen because of that. I don't know, but it's something that a lot of people ask for. So it would be fun. And yeah, I'm in touch with a fair number of the kids. I'm in touch with them on Facebook, especially, and it's so awesome to see everybody growing up and having all these
My
careers.
favorites were Min
different
and
kinds of
Tina.
careers. What was
My
that?
favorites were Min and Tina.
Oh yeah, Min and Tina. Yes, Min. Min ended up on Broadway. I don't know if anybody knows that. She's on Broadway, or she was, in The Lion King, and she did that for years. And just an amazing performer and choreographer and studio owner, dance studio owner in Chicago. And so she did both things at once. She managed her dance studio and did The Lion King on Broadway at the same time. Very talented.
Yeah,
So
I was just wondering how you got interested in voice acting.
I was a really weird kid. I did a lot of voices and noises and imitations and accents and dialects. And I thought, maybe I could do this for a living someday. And I ended up doing, I've always had several parallel careers going on at the same time. I got my degree in art and then went out and started doing graphic design as my day job and public relations, sort of. I worked at Via Metropolitan Transit in San Antonio, which is a bus company in San Antonio. And they had this really famous commercial, series of commercials, ad campaign called the Via Buppets. And so they were kind of looking for somebody to work in their public relations department doing general stuff and also who could do puppetry. And I happened to do some of that. So I started working on that. And so, but I started getting so much voiceover work that I ended up kind of deficit spending my comp time. So I had to quit my job in order to not owe them a lot of overtime that I had taken. So that's how I ended up doing that. But yeah, I mean, it's, a real privilege and so much fun to be able to mostly do voiceover, just that for a living, How are you?
Hi. Wanted to ask, what's your favorite scene or favorite episode from Barney?
Oh, goodness. What was your name?
Adrian.
Okay, Adrian. Let's see. Favorite scene or favorite episode? Episode is, well, my favorite show would be the Radio City Music Hall show, the Barney Live in New York. That was just an amazing experience, and the audiences were perfect, and everybody was just totally into it, and so that was an incredible experience. And plus being able to say, like, technically it's a Broadway theater, so I kind of got to do Broadway, which is like, pretty amazing. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, an episode, kind of tough. The Waiting for Santa tape that we did before Barney and Friends was a lot of fun, and a lot of people still watch that. It's like a tradition in a lot of households. And then 4 Seasons in a Day, I think that was another great one, because things, there were some fun music in that, and the thing that our amazing art department did was they made the whole, we're in a studio, and they made the whole place look like it had snowed. And it was amazing looking, and everything, just kind of glowed, and it was very cool. So we had a really great art department, great production designers, and Bob LaValle, Jess Nelson, and just did amazing work. Lots of great props folks, and Barney wranglers, and lots of great crew on the show. Camilla?
Hey, Bob.
Hey.
So for the second season of Barney Friends, what did you guys do for the second season of Barney Friends?
What did we do?
Yes.
In what way? What kind?
In the second season.
I don't recall all the episodes that we had. It's so long ago. Everybody, it's so funny. Barney fans and fans of anything like to, watch the show and stuff. And I haven't seen the show in probably 30 years. There are some episodes that I've actually never seen, which is kind of common for actors. A lot of times we don't watch our own work because it can be kind of weird to watch your own work, and it can kind of change your performance, so you don't want to watch it too much. But yeah, there's some of it that I haven't seen for a really long time. So, but yeah, there's, if you go online, you can go to the Barney Wiki or to IMDb, and it'll list all the different episodes that we had. But first and second seasons were pretty great because we were just, really starting to build up the production quality and the all the music production and everything. So we had a great time.
Thank you.
Sure.
Hey, Bob. My name is Steven. So my question is, what do you remember about doing the Kids for Character special, which had other characters, and it was hosted by Tom Selleck?
Yeah, that was great. I mean, we had all kinds of celebrities there. I met Carl Malone, the mailman. I met, Tom Selleck, who was really nice, and all these other folks. And we had, who else do we have? We had the characters from Puzzle Place, I believe, two of the puppeteers, who were also Muppeteers. Met them. But yeah, that was a very cool video that we did that talked about the pillars of character. And I think it's probably out there, probably like on YouTube now. But it was a very cool program that someone had put together and took out and distributed to schools, and just talked about building character and that sort of thing, which is something that a lot of schools don't necessarily teach. You just talk about academic subjects, and you don't necessarily talk about character and ethics and that sort of thing. And so I think that's a really smart thing to do. Really good. But does that answer your question? Or?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really fun because I was just starstruck, the whole time. Because talking to Tom Selleck, it's like, oh yeah, he's so cool, and tall. I'm like 6'1", and he's like, hi.
Hi, Bob. I'm Clarissa. This is Jonas. We watch you on our TV a lot. I have two questions. One is, did you feel like the imposter syndrome when you began, and how did you get over that if you did?
I still haven't.
You still haven't?
Yeah.
Any advice for?
I have. I don't know. I'm sure there's somebody out there who's like a psychologist or somebody who's talked about how to deal with imposter syndrome. I've never actually taken a dive into that, although I really should. I don't know if anybody knows what that is. It's, people who have some measure of success, a lot of times you feel like, how did I get to do this? Am I really worthy of this? Am I smart enough or talented enough to do this? Or, and you can panic sometimes. And yeah, I mean, I have that sometimes. So if somebody asks me about, for something like, what do you think your legacy is? And I think, that's a big word, it's a big capital L word. And I think it's for somebody else to say, really, what that is. But for me, it's impossible to say whether that's being humble or whether that's imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
And I just don't know what that is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's good to have kind of a mixture of that, and to always question. It's like one of the great things about everybody, the cast and crew on Barney, was that boy, if I started getting too big for my britches, they let me know. Everybody was just like a big family there. So, but yeah, I just think it's like, for me, I mean, I suffer from depression and anxiety off and on. And it's like, for me, it's like pushing through it, knowing that it's probably temporary. It's always been temporary before, and you're going to get through it. And so I think that's kind of the same way, just work through, just breathe, relax, be in the moment, and just let it take you where it wants to go.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hope that helps.
How did you get into the Barney costume?
How did I get, or how did the body performer get into it? There was a seam up one leg and down the other. So it was just like one big seam. And so they'd pull the costume apart and they would lower it onto the performer. Barney had a hole in his head with a hook. And so they would lower it onto the performer, and the performer would get into it like that. And they'd Velcro the legs together, and that was how it was done. It was so great because nobody could see the seams.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Bob.
We didn't sew them in or anything like that.
And so I watched the movie, Barney's Great Adventures. There's the one that had, the voice of Penny was in. So, what is your best moment from Barney's Great Adventures, the movie?
Oh wow, that's hard. Barney got to do so many things in that movie that he hadn't done before. Just as far as his character went, exploring being more of a deeper character and exploring more emotions and kind of bringing the performance down. The PBS show was really energetic, like the tapes were. The Barney and Barney's Barney and the Backyard Gang. But for this show, we brought it down and made him, have these moments that were more serious. And we'd be talking to Cody, talking about how Cody was, wasn't a believer and all that sort of thing. And so that was one of my favorite things to do, was just being able to explore the character more. The other thing was, we had, Barney starts speaking French. How did that happen? It's like, it's kind of like Santa Claus. He speaks all languages or something. But so we had that, which was fun, and we had, but just from the making of the movie, we had so many great experiences because we got to shoot outdoors. We got to shoot in the amazing countryside outside of Montreal in Quebec, Canada, which was just like a picture postcard. And so instead of being in a studio in my booth, we had these booths that were 3-sided, and I could just like step out of my booth and I'm in the countryside. It's really cool. Yes. Yeah, it's awesome.
This is like from my childhood, but were you there at the Macy's Day Parade with the Barney thing?
Some of them, yes.
You were there?
For one or two of them, I was there.
No, the one where honestly that kind of made me sad because of what happened with Barney. And
the balloon.
I cried for.
I wasn't there for that one.
As a little kid, I was like, "What happened to Barney?" I was freaking out, and then my mom had to explain to me, like, that didn't help.
It's just a balloon.
It just made me cry more.
I know. Yeah, I think that traumatized a lot of people. That was, so it's people working that out in therapy still, I think. Yeah, it's kind of rough. But yeah, it was like one or two times that we went. The one time, we were actually doing Radio City at the time, I think. I think we were in rehearsals for Radio City, and we went to Columbus Circle, which is where they inflate all the balloons. Mm-hmm. And it was absolutely freezing, and I didn't have any gloves. We're all standing around just freezing. But to get to stand right there where they're inflating these huge balloons, including Barney, was just so cool. It was just amazing. Mm-hmm. So that was really awesome. But, and yeah, I did, I think we did, as I recall, I did the voice live for the performance that they do at Herald Square right out in front of Macy's. I think I did the voice live. I'm not sure. Or I just showed up at one of the rehearsals one time because I remember going there and hanging out with the Rockettes. They were really cute and so much fun. So that was great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you actually were there. Whose idea was it to have the little kids have the... And it was really windy that day. I was just trying to figure that out as a little kid. Like, why would they let the little... There's like a really big purple dinosaur.
Oh, well, there was just... there was a lot of people who were more than just little kids doing the handlers for the balloon.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a lot of handlers there. It was a really windy day, and they didn't bring the balloons down soon enough, I guess. I think the wind came up and surprised them. And then there was that light pole that just happened to be right there.
I'm still going to therapy over that.
Often. Yep. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
You can send the bill to Mattel. Yeah, because they got they own it now. So. Yeah.
All right. So when the series ended, having worked on the show for 20 plus years, how was that for you? Was that really hard for you to accept that the show was over, or were you more at peace with it because you knew how successful the show was?
Well, I was only on the show for about a little less than 12 years, and I left the show at around the year 1999 or 2000 or so. And then the shows actually aired after I left for about a year. My episodes did a year or two, or the new episodes aired for a year or so, and then reruns after that. But I left the show to explore new opportunities, to do, create more characters, because we were really in a kind of a maintenance phase for the character, and the producers acknowledged that. But so I wanted to move on and do more stuff. But it felt good that we had done what we had done. It felt like we'd really accomplished something. So nobody knew that it would be as crazy and just blow up like it did. It really, it was just such a really kind of a small mom and pop organization for a while. And, and I don't know if you know the story, but one of the executives at Connecticut Public Television, he and his family were watching the Super Bowl were going to watch the Super Bowl, and he wanted to get a video for his little daughter to watch. So they went to the video store, and she just pointed to this Barney tape, picked it out, took it home, and he watched her watching it, and he said that she had never reacted to a video that way before. She was just totally into it, and that's Larry Rifkin, and so that's how Barney got started. So from there, after the home videos and everything, from there to go to PBS, and then to have, like multi-platinum albums and all that kind of stuff. That was just crazy, and nobody expected it. So it was, to this day, it's still like imposter syndrome, surreal, don't believe it actually happened. But yeah, it was pretty gratifying to know that so many kids, especially now, I hear so many great stories. Somebody comes up to me and says, my family emigrated from Vietnam, and all of us learned English by watching Barney. I mean, the whole family did. Just stories like that. Or my Barney doll, and Barney, watching Barney got me through all these treatments I had when I was a kid, because I was really sick when I was a kid. And, I think Barney kept me alive. I mean, to hear stuff like that, that's, it's unbelievable and very humbling.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm Emerald Storm.
Yes.
I was always quite fascinated with Chuck E. Cheese or Pizza Time Theater. I remember hearing this tape. I got fired from my job. The guy who sent me this tape, he made a cassette copy as well. It really made me feel a lot better, and so I want to thank you for all the work you did during that period and making Jasper sound more relaxed, and he was very excitable earlier.
Yeah, he was very excitable.
But so what kind of thinking did you have in mind when you brought your own approach to Jasper and Chuck E. Cheese, and not Chuck E. Cheese, but to Pasquale?
And Pasquale. Jasper, it's interesting. Jasper they just described this, this dog who played the banjo, and he was very friendly, and I instantly thought of Pat Buttram, who played Mr. Haney on Green Acres. Okay. And this is Pat Buttram. He's the #1 genuine article, right? And I thought, well, let's make him like Pat Buttram, like Mr. Haney Jr.
That's very relaxing.
Hi, everybody. This is a little bit higher, and he just sounds like this. He doesn't do
it down here. He's up here, so he's a little more mully, as we say.
Yeah.
So that's where he came from.
And Pasquale?
So, yeah. Pasquale was just a really, he's a kind of a big guy, so he's got a round voice because he eats a lot of his own pizza. And so, he's got an Italian accent, and he talks like this all the time. So I have some people on Facebook who are Italian who say, hey, that's pretty good. So I feel good about his Italian.
Well, thank you for telling me that.
Thank you.
Do you know Ralphie, since you guys were around the same time?
I never met him, no. He did some awesome stuff.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh, I love childhood between you and Ralphie. That was just...
Yeah, there were so many great kid performers, childhood or children's shows performers and children's music performers that I haven't met. Of course, everybody thinks that we all know each other, but we don't. But yeah, I mean, I did get to meet Carol Spinney and work with Big Bird one time. And when that was when Barney was being announced for moving to PBS Kids Sprout. And so that one day I just spent with Carol, and we did, Barney and Big Bird together, and Oscar the Grouch, and we did what's called a satellite tour, which is where you stay in a studio. And on the satellite, they connect you with people who are at TV news stations around the country, and you have a little interview with the anchors. And so all day long, we just talked to anchors as Barney and Oscar the Grouch and Big Bird. And that was just like one of the greatest days ever. So
I think the childhood me just wants to think that all of my childhood heroes are just canoodling with each other.
We all know each other.
Big Bird and Barney and Ralphie.
Yes. Of course, I have a connection with Mr. Rogers because he was done in Pittsburgh, and I grew up around Pittsburgh. So, and I actually toured that studio when I was a kid. So that's one of the reasons why I got into showbiz. I think was kind of inspirational. So.
And anything with Lamb Chop or?
No. I don't think we ever did anything with her. I kind of almost met her one time when she walked by me, but that was it.
I just think that childhood me is just like, yeah, they're all canoodling with each other.
Yeah, we have a club. It's like a secret society, It's like the Illuminati of children's shows. Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being here. And I want to thank all of you for being here. Let's have a round for Bob West.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you.